Chapter 12. The past keeps twirling within memories. Thousands of years ago, the deep forest was filled with various breeds of wildlife, and the dense, tall trees naturally overlapped in good order. The dark-hued green of the ancient trees contrasted with the light green of the spring's new leaves. The monkey's sound moving along the vines bothered the mother bird in her nest, causing her to squawk and scare the brown, nimble creatures away. Vibrant wildflowers clumped on the ground, standing out from the black of the big tree trunks, creating a pleasant sight for the eyes. As Paya stepped further, he heard the sound of water streaming. Paya glanced down into the stream and was so captivated by its clarity that he could see colorful schools of fish swimming with grace. The young man's eyes unconsciously lingered on them, mesmerized by the picturesque scene in his sight. Master Paya! The call from Van Visa snapped him out of the stupor. The tall man returned to his senses, and as he swiveled on his heels to follow the slender figure, Van Visa took him to a waterfall and then stopped. Haya used this opportunity to explore this waterfall where many lotuses sprouted along the rocks contrasted sharply with the blue of the stream, which was astonishing, peculiar, yet captivating at the same time. Here is the Satablut waterfall. That voice was gentle as she spoke. This was where everything had begun.
Never knew there was a place like this in Thailand.
When Lisa slightly curled her lips upward and shook her head. This place no longer exists. It was lost by a matter of time.
That's sad.
But if it still existed, there was no guarantee that it could persist in its beauty, Kaya thought. Let's dive in.
Yes,
Dive in? Where? Van Lisa smiled. She held Kaya's hand toward the waterfall and took him down the water. Kaya furrowed in confusion. His hands touched all over his own body. Why didn't he get wet? You are the soul, and the place where we are now is in the past. The soul was separated from your world. There's no physical relevance. Kaya nodded in understanding once she finished. The tall figure followed Van Visa to the depths of the stream. She let go of his hand and told him to swim after her and not to get caught by distraction. Kaya nodded and swam after the slender figure, passing through a vast canal underwater and then landed on his feet on the ground. This is the gate of the Naga clan, but this is not the only gate we have.
are there other gates too?
Yes, many more. Wherever there is a water source, we could journey anywhere. Kaya nodded and quietly swept his gaze through this canal. It looked like any other canal, except torches were attached along the wall to light up the pedestrian's pathway.
Where are you leading me to?
My home, Van Lisa answered with an even tone before pointing out her finger for Paya to look at the view ahead. Here is the underwater world. Paya stood still, taking in the view from above. The scene appeared much like a typical kingdom, complete with villages and an ancient castle, except it was set underwater, where many fish swam around. Let's go! Venvisa invited and led him through the water curtain. Once he followed her action, they now appeared to be above those villages. Venvisa told him to follow her journey. He swam behind her back and was startled periodically when the long, giant creatures slithered in his way, causing him to freeze and be petrified until Venvisa grabbed him by the hand to glide along. Normally, the Garuda was never afraid of the Naga like us. Why were you so frightened that your face drained out of color. Conviza brought Paya to the ground and let go of his hand, so he could walk after her by himself. Paya lifted his gaze to the underwater world's sky. Seeing Nagas in a sizable serpent would crest from above him like this, he released a sigh of relief that he didn't have to traverse up there and swim with them to quiver his own heart with fever ever again. Anyway, it seemed like he heard Van Visa tell him that he what? A Garuda? Haya quickened his pace through the crowd to situate himself beside Van Visa.
What did you just say? Garuda?
Van Visa shifted her stare toward Haya. Yes, Garuda. Prince Garuda.
You mean
You.
you're joking?
Van Visa laughed. If I'm joking, everything now is a joke as well. Haya couldn't argue. All that she said was true, and he should open up his mind, listening to everything happening with full of discernment. In fact, you shouldn't be scared of us at all. But why in this life you're frightened by our beings? Kaya was hesitant to answer. However, as he realized that the person before him was a Naga, he was sure she wouldn't think he was out of his mind.
I once drowned in the Mekong River and saw a massive, golden gleaming figure underwater with fiery red eyes staring at me. Luckily, my friend Tarn saved me just in time. Otherwise, I couldn't manage to survive until today. Do you know who that figure is? I think he might be one from your realm.
Then Lisa revealed a worried expression, asking him what concern. You met that figure only once, right?
I keep dreaming about this event again and again. In my latest dream, a cold hand forced me to look at the fight between Garuda and Naga, and I died over and over because I interfered in to protect that Garuda.
Then Lisa fluttered her eyes, looking at him, and nodded. Before we go to that incident, let's see what happened and why they fought.
So, who was exactly the Naga I had met?
He was the one always mentioned about. She toned her voice. Never thought he would bother you in your sleep all along. He wouldn't want to give up, propelling him to do every way he could.
Why must he keep messing with me? The story about former life should be the matter of the former life. He and I are now in a different world.
Because you took his precious thing.
What's that precious thing?
Precious thing? My precious? That one he would like to reclaim? What was that, though? He had zero clue about it. If he did take it away, it was done in his pre existence and had nothing involved in this current existence, in the least bit. He didn't have it with him and didn't even know what that thing was. Please wait and make your own judgment. Upon concluding her dialogue, suddenly they found themselves standing in front of a wooden house. A woman, draping herself in a garment like Van Visa's, dashed down the stairs. Kaya gawked at the sight of that woman in a white breastcloth, a long brown skirt with front pleats, and a white lotus embellishment on her head. She possessed a small, fine, oval face, a straight, prominent nose, petite round eyes, and delicate lips pursed together. Kaya was baffled and stunned, not because of that beauty before his eyes, but because she was an exact look-alike of charm.
That's that's Tarn. Tarn.
Kaya's orbs blew wide as he pointed his finger toward the girl in approximate shape and size to Van Visa, provoking her explanation. However, Van Visa remained silent and quietly observed Tarn in the female's body, running towards them. penetrating their bodies to board a man's cart propelled forward by big fish. The female Tarn argued briefly with the cart owner, but eventually he nodded, agreeing to give her a ride. Do you really think that how Tarn's safety from drowning was a coincidence, Master Paya? Paya locked his gaze on Van Visa, those eyebrows knitted together right after he heard that question. So, wasn't it a coincidence? All right, it definitely wasn't, as Tarn had the ability to see the sign. Van Visa swayed her head in disdain at Paya's thought, but to give him more clues would be useless, as he wouldn't believe it. Better let him witness everything with his very eyes. Let's go. I'll take you to know him. Paya followed her quietly, with a perplexity filling his mind. Before long, they arrived at a room furnished with a golden-hued household decorated by sinuous patterns of golden lotus flowers. Van Visa said this place was the castle of the Naga aristocrats. This is the prince's castle. No sooner had she finished the sentence than the sound of firm, earnest footsteps erupted, causing the two to whirl around to look in unison. Kaya looked at the tall and colossal figure resembling Pi. That exquisite visage was flattered by a gentle smile. The man had a tawny hay complexion adorned with a blue, golden-rimmed chung pen and golden accessories embellished with red jewels. Kaya's eyes almost popped out when he saw this man walk past them to sit on a black bench, also decorated with a golden rim and carved in a naga pattern.
Dr. Shalatorn.
This man was a carbon copy version of Dr. Shalatorn. Or did they have some involvement? Van Visa's eyes grew darker. He is Master Shalatorn, the King Kasem Sin Naga's son.
He looks like someone I know. Tard's personal doctor.
It meant we shared our past. By the way, he still remembered the eerie feeling the first time he met that doctor. When Lisa clenched her jaw tightly as she unflinchingly looked into his eyes. Do you really think that he is a doctor? Kaya's eyes rolled.
Are you going to tell me that
He voyaged to the mortal world by his own will. Then Lisa spoke with a tremble in her voice. Since he had a pearl 100 years ago, he determined to bring his sister's soul back to the underwater world, according to the commitment she had given to him. In fact, it wasn't a commitment. He just attached himself to those words, refused to let go, and only realized when everything was overdue.
and he is the same person I met in my dream, right?
Kaya's tone grew darker. Don Lisa didn't answer but just gave a slight nod to Kaya instead. Kaya tightened his fist and walked down his memory to find the first time he met that person. Those gleaming, challenging eyes, that nightmare, and the lie saying Shalator knew it from Tarn. It absolutely wasn't. It was him. It was him all along. Master Shalatorn! So, that news is true? The enchanting voice of Tarn's doppelganger pulled Kaya back from the surge of anger to watch her without doubt instead. That slender figure walked through Van Visa and him to Master Shalatorn. She sat down and paid respect to him in a graceful manner before placing one arm onto that wooden bench.
Of course. Aren't you happy with me?
I'm sad, and you know why. That dulcet face frowned and laid her chin onto a tapering arm in a sulky mood. His Highness Prince curved up a faint smile and put down the shot glass in his hand to the tray, then glanced to his personal lady in waiting.
You're still very young. You have many other chances to find a better man than me.
she voiced with a nasal tone. Huh? You can say whatever because you don't love me. Charlottehorn reached out to stroke his naughty girl's head. While I didn't love you in an affectionate way, I still cherish you as a companion, my little Naga. I've now been promoted from your maid of honor to your companion. Aren't you satisfied? My companion, it isn't a position that anyone can be. So, what companion must you, your highness? The girl tilted her head, asking with doughy eyes. The sight of her caused Charlottehorn to laugh amusingly. Stand by me, accompany me, never be apart from me, and obey me. But I've heard that being companions, the status must be alike. The female Naga bargained while lifting her gaze to her superior man in knowing. Right, right. Our status is alike now. From now on, you are my companion. What I eat, you eat. The listener's eyes broadly widened and sparkled. Really? Really? Have I ever lied to you? Charlotte said in a tender voice while flicking his head disdainfully. See, she is so childish. Then the scene faded to a picture of the little female Naga reading a book to Charlotte, or she was out to catch some fish and showed it to Charlotte, or some was the time they teased the palace to get people together. These moments caused Von Visa to let out a thin smile. This little female Naga is my younger sister. Her name is Pasarat.
She looks just like Tarn.
What do you think? Haya looked into Van Visa's crystal clear eyes and answered in a serious tone.
It's Tarn.
Van Visa nodded and began to explain that Vasarat, the Naga, was initially Shalotorn's companion and was unrequitedly fond of him. But since she was well behaved and always disciplined, Master Shalotorn let her serve him without expelling her from his palace. You could say that she is Master Shalotorn's minion. Whatever Master Shalatorn says, she always follows without questions. With fidelity, she did everything out of her goodwill, even though he always takes her love for granted.
Why did why did Shalatorn not respond to Vazarat's feelings though?
Then Lisa unfurled a thin smile that froze him to the soul. Because Master Shalatorn had already had his fiancée. Even worse, he ordered Vazarat to stalk his fiance's behavior as he wanted to know how his girlfriend felt toward him, what she liked and what she loathed, despite the reality that he knew all too well that my sister loved him dearly. Yet Vazarat still spied and kept an eye on Master Shalatorn's loved one out of her loyalty, that she almost couldn't survive from your claws. When Lisa switched her gaze to Paya, Paya paused a little, and not even that he could ask anything. Their surroundings transitioned to the same forest that he had been before with a scene where Vasarat was running away from something with terror. The wind blew wildly, and the nearby trees were about to fall. The fine figures shrieked when the enormous figure of a giant bird with a human body, with a bird head and legs, swooped down with his sizable red wings, using its feet to grab the little Naga by the shoulders before flying back to the sky and brought the Naga to Satabut waterfall. Upon his arrival, he mercilessly dropped her onto the rock. You wicked Garuda! The petite figure cursed while levering herself up on her feet. The vast demigod figure transformed into a man in red chungben ornamented with golden sequins and accessories. Taya was startled as he looked at the man whose appearance was identical to him. Was this himself in the pre-existence? Haya took a closer look at himself in his past life and examined the man from head to toe, so identically alike, except for the clothes on the body.
Mind your nasty mouth, you naga.
That low-pitched voice spoke under a cruel expression as he strode forward the slim figure. Seeing that demeanor, it prompted fear in Vasarat that she tried to trail away into the river, but the male Garuda approached her, grabbed her by the tiny wrist, and yanked it toward him. Let me go! Enough, Naparuj. That sweet, melodious voice restrained the male Garuda's cruel action. A girl in a mauve breastcloth, with a crown on her head, draping herself in gold jewelry more than Basarat, approached them with an impatient expression. Her oval face, small, prominent nose, a perfect shaped Cupid's bow on her upper lip, and those big, round eyes were a perfect replica of Nong Dao, Darawan, his ex-lover. Haya pivoted to Van Visa.
Darawan is the Darawan.
Van Visa tipped her head as the answer. Vasarat shook off her wrist from the male Garuda's grip and hid herself behind Dujdarawan. You power maniac bird! Ah!
You,
Enough of you too, Vasarat! The noble woman scolded rigidly before shifting her gaze to the male Garuda and bowed to apologize. I'm sorry for causing you trouble, Naparuj.
since she knew the secret between you and my brother, aren't you afraid of her exposing it to Charlotte's Horn?
I'll tell him! Definitely! Vasarat popped her face out, saying, Naparuch pointed out that flawless facade and swooped back to Dujdarawan.
You see, she will indeed expose it to Charlotte's Horn. If she wishes to tell anyone, just let her do it. Do you think I'd be scared of him?
A deep, dominant voice resonated between them. Haya swiveled his gaze to the newcomer and furrowed his eyebrows, questioning who this man was. He glanced at Venvisa. He is Master Sankutira Ticharoj, your elder brother, and his name in this life is Sakunanoparuj. Saying this person was his brother, but why did this man and he look nothing similar to one another? Venvisa resolved that doubt. You and your brother are siblings from different mothers. Kaya nodded, understood, and resumed his focus on the incident ahead. Tisha Rouge! The soothing voice restrained her loved one. Tisha Rouge? This name was like Dao's new boyfriend. Yes, that man is Master Tisha Rouge. Benvisa affirmed pious thought. Not only Master Shalatorn who emerged to the mortal world.
You mean he came to take Nong Dao?
I'm unaware of Master Dujtarawan's karma and cannot tell what Master Ticharuch is going to do.
What if he takes Nong Dao away?
What was he supposed to do? Kaya thought with anxiety. If they both loved each other until their hair turned gray, he wouldn't mind it. But this one was Garuda, and another was a human. How would they live their lives together? You never change,
What?
asked Paya with a curt tone. Your love for Master Dijtarawan stands the test of time. His heart was hers, but she didn't return his affection. Instead, she placed her heart in his brother's hand. And, because of the blindness from love causing all of you to end up this way, the frustration flickered across his face.
Please make your conclusion in one time. Don't just keep arousing my curiosity and drive me crazy.
Blindness from love? Who didn't go blind for love? Whenever a person fell in love, it was no different than giving away one of their eyes. Even though they misbehaved or mistreated us, we would still be there to forgive, hand them chances, and be by their side. Weren't all of these what love is? Right, I'll tell you. Since the day Vasarat followed Master Dujtarawan to the mortal world and found that Master Dujtarawan, her compadre's fiancé, was entwined with another man, Vasarat escaped to find her way back to the underwater world. However, Master Naparuj, the lookout, caught her in sight, so you transformed back to a Garuda to grab her like what we can see now. Initially, you and your brother would like to end her life, but Master Dujtarawan pleaded for her life. That was why my sister survived from both of you and needed to serve Master Dujtarawan. The scene ahead of them dissolved into a room where Dujtarawan and Vasarat were conversing. Dujtarawan kneeled to Vasarat. She was on her knees to beg Vasarat not to tell Master Shalatorn, but Vasarat stood firm to her thought that she needed to report it. On behalf of his companion, Vasarat couldn't let Dujtarawan betray Master Shalatorn. However, Vasarat, who always had good wishes for Master Shalatorn, was ejected from his pavilion not to meet him.
Why?
When Visa squeezed her fist, because he was intimately engaging with someone else.
But he's already had Dujtarawan as his fiancé.
When Visa pivoted to look Paya in the eye. And so, he is an aristocratic man. He could have many more women. To tell the truth, he has quite a lot of concubines in his palace.
Because of this reason, Dujtarawan wouldn't love him?
When Visa shook her head. Maybe yes, and maybe no. Because one certain thing is, she didn't love Master Shalatorn, unlike my sister. Despite the fact that Vasarat was expelled from the pavilion, she persisted in waiting for him because she loved him faithfully. The view then morphed to Vasarat standing in waiting in front of the pavilion. She sat and lay down alternately, but she was never far from the front of the pavilion. She waited until I came out. When Visa spoke out of a tearless sob, that was when Paya could see the light. I betrayed my sister's trust. Seeing her waiting outside the pavilion, I was merely ashamed that I couldn't look at her. Meanwhile, once she saw me walking out with streaming tears, Vasarat suddenly realized that I'd already offered my virtue to Master Shalatorn. And not only was she not mad, but she also understood me. She said whoever was close to Master Shalatorn couldn't help falling in love with him. Her words made me regret my actions even more, but she just smiled and comforted me, pulling me into her embrace. She told me to wait outside while she had a word with him for a moment, but I halted her because Master Shalatorn was being baited by his other ladies in waiting. And that was when Vasarat told me about Master Dujtarawan's story and told me she would inform Master Shalatorn. But at that time, I was blinded by love and didn't want Master Shalatorn to discover it. Also, I thought it would be beneficial that my love rival had her own man, so I'd better let her love grow, while Master Shalatorn and I would be happily in love ever after instead. Despite Bonvisa being well aware that she was causing her sister a dilemma, she was so intoxicated in love at the time that she overlooked the other's trouble, even if it was her sister's. In fact, she never had the idea of sharing this past event with Paya, but if it was omitted, Paya would miss out on their core conflicts. Bassarat believed me because I was her sister. Moreover, she knew that I loved Master Shalatorn as she did, so she helped me to not let this matter be known by Master Shalatorn. After a conversation with me, she returned to Master Dujtarawan's palace. She saw Master Dujtarawan crying her heart out. Vazarat consoled her and revealed that she didn't report it to Master Shalatorn. Master Dujtarawan was elated, yet she also realized that Vazarat was very uneasy about the situation. Thus, on the day Vazarat needed to see Master Shalatorn, Master Dujtarawan confined her and took her to see Master Sakunti Charuj with her. Their environment unfurled to Satabut waterfall. Vasarat was squealing to Sakun Naparuj as she still blamed him for her injury, before they were driven away to fight each other elsewhere. Hence, the two inevitably needed to move away from where Master Dujtarawan and Master Sakunti Sharuj had their intimate moment. Both of them exchanged their gaze and sometimes peeped at the lovers' entanglement. Vasarat watched them out of curiosity, but Sakun Paruj was from his distress. Hugh and Vasarat started out as enemies. He quarreled in every meeting, but as time passed, you two became best friends because you understand each other very well. Haya tipped his head in comprehension. They surely did for the reason that they shared the same experience of unrequited love. Then Lisa continued, but you also have your own problem.
What problem?
The surrounding scenery transformed into a kingdom on top of a skyscraping mountain. We all are from a mighty demi-deity, demi-avian clan. We have various traditions similar to ours. Other than Master Shalatorn had his fiancée, your brother also has his own fiancée. Kaya's eyes followed Van Visa's sight. He saw a woman in a red ancient dress. Those striking features, Kaya could remember them so well.
Bifabadi.
Her name is Navivabadi. She is Master Tisharud's fiancée, but she never had her feelings for your brother, but she had them for you. She confessed her love to you, and you were aware of it so well, yet you rejected her feelings. However, she was so attached to you, just like the way I am attached to Master Shalatorn.
She took part in the fight in my vision, right?
Vanvisa nodded slowly. Not only her, but also me. She and I were drunk and attached ourselves in love so much that we made a mistake.
What did you both do?
One day, Navifadi and the Naga discreetly followed you and Master Tisharuj to the mortal world. When she found you both secretly met up with Vasarat the Naga, she fumed. Additionally, once she learned that you fell in love with Master Dujtarawan from Vasarat, her hatred toward Master Dujtarawan multiplied. In the meantime, I knew that my sister had sneaked up to Satabuk waterfall. I followed her to inform her that Master Shalatorn was searching for her. I came across Navifa Badi and was attacked by her to vent her anger. Fortunately, Vasarat and you found me. Vasarat asked you to rescue me, so you took Navifa Badi away. After I told Vasarat that Master Shalatorn was looking for her, she rushed back to the underwater world to encounter Master Shalatorn. When Lisa swallowed her saliva into her throat. But Master Shalatorn wasn't a fool. He was skeptical about what happened to me, who was in a worn out condition as if I was ripped off. He managed to keep his question quiet and chased Vasarat away, leaving me to face Master Shalatorn all by myself.
He knew you both lied to him and forced you to tell the truth.
Right. I was terrified at the time, so I slipped my tongue.
She was the real cause, her own sister to meet such a fate.
Meanwhile, Navifawadi riled up out of dissatisfaction with you and your brother and spoke out of turn that you're secretly in love with Master Duchdarawan. When Visa looked out to meet Pious eyes. Once your brother knew it, he felt deeply sorry for you. Sorry for always bringing you to be the lookout for him and Master Duchdarawan at Satabut Waterfall all along. It meant he always subtly hurt you, even without realizing.
I secretly loved Dujdarawan, while Navi Fabadi loved me. Vasarat loved Master Shalatorn, and so did you. Master Shalatorn loved Dujdarawan, but it was an unrequited love because she was in love with Tisharuj.
Yes.
What the love epic is this? Six people entangled in loveness.
Haya let out a heavy breath after hearing all of it. It wore him out. Wherever he looked, he only saw the dead end. He was stumped about how to find a way out of it. After Master Shalator knew the truth, he secretly went up to see Master Duchdarawan and Master Sakunti Charuch in Mortarwell. But when he was there, he only saw Vasarat, my sister, who passed her words to Master Sakunti Charuch instead, because Vasarat wisely predicted that Master Shalatorn had already found out. Master Shalatorn felt resentful and betrayed, so he came in between your brother and Vasarat. The two confronted, and Vasarat tried to stop them. I, on the other hand, who knew that Master Shalatorn discreetly waited to meet Master Sakunti Charuj, hurriedly to pass this news to Master Dujtarawan.
So, they fought?
Yes, when we came up, we saw Vasarat was looking at the golden mighty serpent fighting a giant mighty bird in the sky. Master Dujtarawan saw your brother was likely to be defeated, so she came to obstruct and was wounded. It only added up the fire that they were resolute to destroy one another. For you were worried about your brother, so you followed them.
I came to help my brother and was killed by accident.
That was just like his nightmare. Vanvisa shook her head. You were about to stop them. Vasarat didn't know that you were flying in their way as her eyes fixed on Master Shalotorn with anxiety. She caught him about to be spared by your brother's deadly weapon, so she transformed herself into Naga and split the venom to destroy that spear.
Turned out that was me who flew in their way.
Yes, the Garuda was falling from the sky. He was in a gruesome condition that one couldn't remember his former divine form, which was now corroded by the caustic venom all over the body. Monserrat was appalled. She had intended to aid you, but she was impaled by Teacherud's spear, as vengeance for her mistake to your death. The image of a giant serpent with a crest falling onto the rock prompted Paya to take a closer look. Her angelic face became paler in color as she glanced at him with tears. She was trying to reach him but didn't have enough strength to do so. She sunk in the depth of guilt when Visa told Paya, who was now kneeling beside Vasarat. She meant to give Mani Naga to you, but she was out of strength. Paya saw Vasarat try to move her lips to say something. He leaned his ear toward her. I prayed for all the merit they have ever committed in every former life, blessing him, Sakonana Paruch, to be born into nobility, and blessing me to meet him in every lifetime, to protect him from all dooms. Aya drew back to look at Vasarat's face. Once her prayer came to an end, She breathed her last breath. Tarn's voice suddenly echoed in the back of his mind. I don't know, just a feeling that I need to protect him. I said so because I really think that way. I don't know why. I have a feeling like we have known each other before. Since the very first time met you, I wanted to be friends with you.
Darn.
When Lisa displayed a bitter smile when unearthing this scene, repeatedly shooting a sharp pain in the heart. But whatever happened, she needed to finish her speech. Master Shalatorn and Master Sakunti Sharuj kept fighting until their last drop because the other party had killed one another's people. For Navi Pavadi, she took advantage of the chaos to eliminate Master Dujtarawan, who lacked strength, until she faced her death. Master Shalatorn witnessed it, so he spit venom at Navi Pavadi to her deceased in hollow. I advanced to Vasarat, but her body dissolved, coinciding with you, only left with Mani Naga for me to keep. Master Shalatorn and Master Sapunti Sharuj fought, causing all the mortal world creatures to suffer. The deity supreme sentenced them to 1,000 years of asceticism. As soon as Vanvisa finished her narration, every vision disappeared and was replaced by Pious' bedroom. Vanvisa lifted her finger from Pious' forehead as she looked at the ethereal face full of guilt. If it wasn't for her, they might have never been apart, never have had a cause leading to this tragic result. Kaya lifted his palm to stroke his cheek and glanced at Vanvisa.
Why? Why it has to be me who knows all of these?
Vanvisa laughed. Because of yourself. You had wished it this way, Master Kaya.
When did I wish for it?
Before you were born, to Mr. Chadayu in front of me. Your existence keeps wandering under samsara on mortal world, experiencing ups and downs with someone always be by your side, resolute to follow her own last wish. Samsara is a concept of cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth or reincarnation, a process driven by karma according to Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism.
She was overwhelmed with guilt. But she didn't mean it, did she? Why?
When Lisa curled her lips upward and chuckled in a deep tone. May you discover it by yourself. I have to go. I couldn't say a thing I'm not allowed to say.
No, you can't leave without telling me all of it.
How stubborn of you. Well, let this item lead you to the answer instead. When Lisa handed him around an even-surfaced amber gemstone, Haya took it in his palm. This is the last thing that Vasarat left, and it's me who gathered every little piece of events inside it. Besides this gem, another one belongs to Master Shalatorn, but this one is very important. You must keep it safe. Another gem with Shalatorn was one he created and gathered from little pieces of Vasarat's soul.
Will you come to meet me again?
Since he had many other things to ask, I can't, Vanvisa uttered in a faded voice. Even though she wanted to offer him more help, she could not. I must leave now. For you. We'd better reconcile with Tarn soon before he gets madder than this. And don't let Tarn get too close to Master Shalatorn, since he wasn't a nice person like he used to be in his former life. And if you have other questions to ask, I believe Master Tisharuch can help you solve your doubt. Once she finished her statement, she emitted a broad smile and disappeared. Kaya lowered his gaze to the gemstone inside his palm and squeezed it tightly before opening the drawer to pick up an amulet pouch that Luang Pu gave him and put his jewel in it. To make it up to Tarn, how, when he did it to Tarn to that degree. Kaya flipped back and forth on his own bed while thinking of how to make peace with the other person to forgive him so easily until he fell asleep. Hmm, better make breakfast for Tarn for peace. End of chapter 12.